Eventually got into all those books and realized it's not just a 66 canon, but there's a lot more than just a 66 in the scriptures, which give you a better understanding of the world that you're actually in. And from there, just started to build back up and realized that I didn't know, I knew nothing. And I built back up with the Torah and with instructions of God and all that stuff. And now I'm here and I want to share with other people. Yeah. Nope, you're on mute, bro.
Sure am. Awesome. Thank you for that. So in that journey, you talked a lot about early, cosmology. So let's dial in a little bit more to like that transition of that heliocentric model and this vast universe as explained by science, and where, like, what was that thing that was like, not necessarily, because I think for a lot of people it was the preponderance of evidence that really swayed them, but there is typically that one topic that they, that a lot of people individually had interest in, that when that was kind of pulled into question, they could fully dissolve of kind of the programming they had before. So for you, what was that, again, straw that broke the camel's back, where your mind switched?
Yeah, so I was really, really entrenched into the concept of space, and but the funny thing is even prior, in high school and stuff like that, growing up, I hated space because like I never understood it in terms of like the planets' distances from each other and the names of the planets and all the different so-called astrophysics and all that and how it worked. And I had so many friends that were into that kind of thing, and the only time that I was ever into space was when I got high on acid and watched Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And then after the first episode, when it blasted off from Earth, I was just like totally lost. But basically, I got really into it afterwards when I got into the New Age, where it was essentially like there's this world that exists from behind the scenes where everybody's talking about it in that world, where you have like YouTubers and like doing podcasts and writing books and all these major names. David Wilcock, I'm not sure if you heard of that guy, or David Icke. These people, they essentially are talking about this world and this plan that it exists. So essentially, I'll kind of break it down as small as I can. So essentially, you have these draconian beings who are reptilians, who essentially are aliens from another planet, another civilization, cosmically. They came to Earth to enslave mankind. And so they essentially are the reptilians behind the eyes of politicians that are basically the puppets. And these people are actually the reptilians themselves, the Draconian Empire. It's kind of like, Star Wars, basically. But these beings are also puppets of a much bigger thing called it's artificial intelligence, basically. It's this, the Archon, that's what it's called. And so this whole world, you got also these beings called the Ashtar Command, the Galactic Federation, the Service of Planets and the Infinite Creator. You got Sananda Galactic, who is the Oversoul of Christ. So you have these dimensions, which is basically the third dimension is the physical reality of Earth. Then outside the third dimension, you have aliens that are in their ships above, that are invisible, that are talking to people through channeled people. And so you have YouTubers that are saying that they're channeling beings that are trying to tell mankind of what's going to happen in their future. So you have Abraham Hicks is a massive one. Then you got Bashar, and these people are literally in a trance where they're actually communicating these messages, and their dialect changes, their intelligence is just escalated, where the things that come out of their mouth are just so genius because they're actually communicating with these beings. But these beings are not what people think they are. They're literally demons. Yeah. But I was totally convinced in all of that because of just like how many layers of deception they got, because you're not only listening to this stuff and then getting feelings when you're reading books of like different reincarnations of the past lives you lived. And like, I know so many of my friends that are in that right now thinking that they were once like, actually one of my friends quite recently said that he was in Woodstock back when it happened, even though he wasn't alive at that time. And that he was basically this hippie or whatever. And he's now, kind of into that still. And so it's just they play off of your desires and intentions. So you have it on multiple levels where you have it in the physical, and you get a video in your algorithm, and then you have a dream about it saying and confirming that like you are this amazing special being. Then you also have movies telling you that you're this special boy and that you're amazing, like the Matrix or whatever. So it's just all of this just deception. But anyway, long story short, when I came across a documentary called What on Earth Happens by Awarnan, which is 6 hours long, and it basically just detailed every single bit of evidence that showed that it is truly a flat, non-rotating stationary plane and that there's a dome over our heads, because I thought that science was science, but science is actually scientism. It's a cult. It has got literally no substance of actual logic and reason in it. It's just what I was part of. You know, I lied to the cult, obviously, because that's the mentality I had. But yeah, Awarnan blew that open for me, and then I realized, oh, angels or demons. Last thing I'll say that I found out, because I always dig deep into research of like trying to analyze the very basics of things and try to build them from there to understand them. And I tried looking into demon possession and alien abductions, and they both have massive amounts of data. You compare them, and they basically are saying the same thing. The people that are experiencing the same thing. So I was like, oh, I was wrong about all this, and I was being tricked by a higher intelligence that is just much smarter than me. So I was just a fish in a barrel, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I had Vicky come on before us actually starting with episode 1, aliens, because the connection between sleep paralysis and alien abductions was an interesting one, as she pointed out. And I'd like to take a minute and kind of jump in there and respond to some of the things you said. So I also was told that I had ADHD while I was in school. Fortunately for me, my dad said, hey, my child's not going to be on meth, so you will not be giving my children those drugs.
Beautiful.
And, but one kind of interesting thing is with aliens, I grew up, I had a pretty traumatic life in a lot of different ways. Without getting into that, one of kind of my escapes was this, I had this imagination of kind of being this, what Owen Benjamin would call a special boy. And, I often drew aliens coming and getting me and taking me to another planet. Or I liked I had alien posters and alien shirts, and I was so into that whole mindset. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, if you couldn't tell, being Vader Bear. But and so, it was, for me, it was a very that jump over to off of the heliocentric model was kind of a rough one for me, because I was so intertwined. And even to ask my wife, I used to explain, I think heaven is, if the planet Earth was supposed to be made into the Garden of Eden, then we would go out to the stars and we'd make each of those planets their own Garden of Eden, and it's ever expanding, right? So it will be forever, because it's always recycling. And so yeah, I totally get along. And I was very adjacent to that. When I was in middle school, I was asked, I was invited to join Demolay, which, if you don't know, is
Demolay.
Yeah, so
Harry Potter for Freemasons, basically, for kids.
Yeah, and so I say boys, it's Freemasons Boy Scouts. It's an introduction into that. And so I could have probably totally gone down that route, but some experiences and events that I went to just inside me, that moral spark was like, you don't want to be here. And so I kind of but that later kind of amplified my desire of conspiracy theories. And me and Maggie both shared today as a birthday, September 23rd. And what's really interesting about that is there's so much conspiracies around 9/23. And it's just kind of funny that I won't speak for Maggie, but myself, I've always been a type of conspiracy theorist. But when it comes to aliens, I always thought it would be like this beautiful thing. Like they would come and save me. They'd come and be my friends. And then they would come and help me. And I shared that thought for a very long time until I got into the Book of Enoch, and at the same time of being, like excited for these things, it was also a fearful thing, right? Because look at
Absolutely.
Independence Day, look at Aliens from Mars. Like you can go through
Skyline, that
hundreds and
was
hundreds.
horrific.
Skyline,
Yeah. Nope.
Aliens, Predator.
Did you watch that newest one? Nope.
I have
Which
not
is
seen
like,
no.
yeah, yeah. It's like Jaws essentially, but it's in the sky and it's like
Okay.
a terrifying thing. But the ship itself is more like a monster, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
chewing up people and spitting them out. And whoo, yeah, it's they're trying to terrify you for sure, which is interesting. I just want to say this, like. It's crazy that like that you have a lot of movies that are talking about aliens that they're terrible and they're coming to get you and your families and all this. But at the same time, then you have other films that are trying to like prop up aliens as something amazing, and then in the mainstream they're trying to tell you that that's it's okay and they're fine kind of thing. So it's a mixture of both worlds there. But I think I don't know about you guys, but what do you consider the fact that I got this from Parable of the Vineyard? Adam was talking about it, that the whole like Independence Day, for example, with that the circular ship that was above the Capitol, what is it? The massive Empire State Building. So essentially, that was basically a representation of the New Jerusalem, and that he thinks that it's like the New Jerusalem is actually circular, and that's why there's all these movies about circular, massive ships coming down to destroy, and then the Earth has to get together and like save
Yeah,
the Earth from the
and
circular ship. I don't know.
I think there's a really interesting, and of course, anyone else free to jump in, but I think there's a really interesting, specifically with Independence Day, because in the first Independence Day, just like Ronald Reagan said, right, and we could play that clip of, I wonder how quickly our differences would
Yeah.
disappear if we were met with a force from outside this world.
Right.
We've a lot of us seen that clip, but in that, right, in that movie, of course, all the countries come together and start fighting these aliens. But interesting,
Yeah.
in the second movie, they then use the technology that they
Right.
have from that first attack, and
Yep.
they get ready for the second attack. And the second seemingly attack is from a sphere,
Yep. Yeah,
but
the sphere. Yeah,
the
but it
sphere,
turns out to be
right?
good.
But that turns out to be good and wants to
Yeah.
help us defeat
Yeah.
what's actually coming. And I
Mm.
want to get into that a little bit later on, but let's continue through. Maggie, you were saying you never really had thought about it. Did did it make you feel anything like fearful, or you didn't really believe in it, or just a general thought about it? Oh, she's muted for me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
I just didn't care. I was, a kid.
Hmm. Makes sense. All right. What about you, Kyle?
I don't know. I got mixed thoughts on it. I think it's like a very big sham of us trying to get controlled by the upper power or something like that. You know what I mean? But other than that, I really don't have a thought on it. I don't dig too deep. I don't overthink it.
Okay. What about you, Marcia? You're muted.
You're muted.
It's okay. Now you know my pain.
Without a mouth. Come on. Give me a break. Let's see. The only thing I can remember is Area 51 and all that kind of stuff. It was black and white pictures. I mean, I'm old. So, and I thought, I was a Christian at this time, and I thought, well, you know what? God made us. He could make other ones out there,
Totally.
Not necessarily aliens, but other humans,
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I thought that. It didn't dwell in my mind, but I did think it. I remember it. So, but I really wasn't an alien. I enjoyed sci-fi, but not as aliens were really out there type thing.
Yeah.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Let's jump over to you, Robert. Thoughts, brother?
Okay, so I think your question was about your beginnings and thinking about the aliens and concept of it. So
Mm-hmm.
early on growing up, I grew up with like Creature Feature, Ultraman, or Star Trek. um, Forbidden Planet, Robbie the Robot going around, people going in space, all these space things. Twilight Zone had a number of space episodes, people going into space, and um, I mean, it would be really cool to do that, you know. So, you know, by the time that I got to be 30, we'd be having flying cars, we'd be having a little city up there.
The
Here
Jetsons.
exactly. That I can't
Jets.
forget Rose, the Jetsons, and Rosie and Elroy and all that. But yeah, I even built a little model of a space station in school, you know. So yeah, I'm totally sci-fi. Okay. Really, as far as really seeing an alien or really encountering an alien, the thought of that, I guess that it never jumped over from being science fiction
Okay.
to being science fact.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought that I would actually meet an alien per se. So I think my mind still separated fiction from fact.
Totally.
So
Yeah, and I can totally get that. You know, to me it was a conceptualizing of like, oh, it would be cool, but you know, somewhat fiction, right? It's not really happening, right? Or we would see it. Awesome, sweet. All right, we did you, Curtis. Let's jump over to you, Kyle. Thoughts, Kyle, brother? Ethereal creation. Sorry.
Yeah. Aliens impacted me since I was just a little kid, probably more than I can even wrap my mind around. I used to fantasize about how many different worlds out there, and whether they were here or not, whether we came from them, and it pushed in all forms of media and video games where you would play as human beings fighting alien foes like Halo and games like that and whatnot. So it influenced my life majorly, especially when I began to actually see unexplainable phenomenon in the sky. Then it really, really just sort of strengthened and fortified that belief system to the point where, I mean, at one point in time before I knew Yeshua, I even prayed to aliens. I was more persuaded of their existence than I was of a creator of the heaven and the earth, the Big Bang cosmos and whatnot. I thought that gods and that concept of there being many different gods throughout different dimensions and different uh, different worlds out there essentially was a better explanation for our reality than one true supreme being. But then again, that's in a heliocentric, you know, mind state where I didn't understand that we were the only Earth, that there was no other uh, outside forces that were going to, come through a barrier that wasn't there and, strike us and, from all these far distances. And it was strange too, because I used to like try to imagine how we would develop technology to go those distances because it's impossible. It doesn't make sense, not even in their own equations. So I
Wait,
mean,
you mean you go time traveling if you use their math?
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, bending space and time. I mean, I probably still have notebooks from when I used to sit there and try to rationalize it and make sense of quantum physics and quantum entanglement and how things could be separately but intertwined and how you could essentially fold a be have point A and point B and you
And
just
fold
fold
the
that piece of
paper
paper.
and poke it through.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, so like I've said before in previous streams, like that whole philosophical trap was like a drug for me in itself, where I could actually sort of blast off in my own vain imaginations about these things that none of it, not any of it, was relative to reality whatsoever. So from the earliest time, aliens have influenced my life probably more than I even know. But as soon as I understood enclosed cosmology, that whole deception just vanished, and I saw it for what it was.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna
Awesome.
we're gonna get into that for sure.
Very
All right,
cool.
Frankie B, brother, what was your experience? I know you're a big Trekkie.
Well, yeah, I grew up on Star Trek, so I envisioned our future as Star Trek going to, and then when, they named the shuttlecraft Enterprise, I thought we were going, and then the cell phones, the whole communicator thing, and I grew up on Stargate, Starman, then I was in a, like you were saying, offensively. What's your name again, Curtis?
Yeah, Curtis. Yep.
Yeah, Kurt, like you were saying, you were in different religions. When I was growing up, my mom got me into this religion called Ekankar. It was about soul travel, Tibetan masters and ascended masters going to being a fifth initiate, second initiate, and soul travel and all that. Well, when Star Wars came out in '78, we went to that because the whole movement felt that the Force was their movement and it was based on that religion. So then I, started getting into Star Wars, the other worlds, but then when I got into the Bible, I started to realize that, God created everything. So why wouldn't he create aliens? And then reading Revelations, the beast around the throne could have been alien creations that he created. But now that, I'm a preterist, I just see the book of Revelation as mostly allegories of the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. And I believe that the Bible is fulfilled and that we are in a world without end, and creation and whatever happens here is dependent on us manifesting, bringing his glory into reality. And I also believe that the elites, they know the Bible. Like the Bible says that the devil knows the word of God more than we do. So they're playing it out in their scenarios with the bringing of the vaccines as the mark of the beast, the nanotechnology. I actually heard a theory, and that E-War series, What on Earth Happened, was one of the greatest video series I've ever watched because it just opened my eyes to all the architecture throughout the realm, and then the timeline with the I and the J in front of the years, that they've added 1,000 years to our timeline, and the Great Reset in 1800, which would be really 800, according to the real timeline. If there was wasn't 1,000 years added to it.
So pulling back a little bit from some Tartaria and
right. Well, I just wanted to comment on that.
Totally. But more specifically with aliens, like what was your kind of thought about them and how they would interact with your life if you did it all? I know you kind of went through a little bit of it, but to dive a little bit deeper into it.
The whole thing with Area 51 that Marsha brought up, and then there was a TV series on when I was growing up called Stargate. I don't know if you remember that.
SG-1.
But, yeah, Stargate, and then Area 51, and then opening up portals. I started to think that Stargate could be something real. Mm-hmm. That there was interdimensional beings coming in through a Stargate, so coming in through portals. But then when I got Flat Earth, then I realized, it's all just demonic forces. The aliens are just, hybrids that ancient civilizations, or there's a video that Vader's going to play on chimera hybrids, and that movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, this evil scientist is trying to create a new Earth with hybrid chimerian people, where he takes animals and men and merges them together. And I think that's been going on for 1,000 years. And they've been trying to recreate, and they're going to roll them out as the aliens. Actually, that one video of the alien sighting in Vegas, it looked like something right out of that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie. I mean, literally, when I've seen it, I was like, I just watched this in the movie theater. You know, so
Totally.
and now I just believe that it's just, you know, it could be interdimensional beings from other realms coming in trying to mess with us. We really don't know yet, but I know that it is not real. That it is all going to be made up, but it's going to be revealed to us what's actually going on in the Antarctic. What if there is portals? If something's going to roll out, and I think that the Tatarian electromagnetic forces are going to be their hovercrafts, which are going to be their UFO flying saucers. They're going to fly off the electromagnetic field that is in this realm. And that's my personal opinion on it.
Totally sweet. Just to kind of dive deep into a little bit into what you said, I think it was interesting. You talked about Guardian of the Galaxy, and then, you know, like people viewing aliens, and it's kind of interesting the way the pendulum swings, right? Because they make these movies so realistic. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the makeup and these costumes that make, you know, it look to our eyes that it's a real thing. And what's interesting about that is it also kind of lessens people's belief in that thing, right? Because if someone could make a costume look so real, then when presented with an idea that it actually could be real, they're actually a little bit more hesitant. But at the same time, with the plethora that we've been put in, I definitely think they're gonna play that card. And again, we'll get into that.
What was the name of that movie with Rowdy Piper? What, They Live? Or what was the name of it?
Yeah, They Live.
What was that? They Live. That movie really opened my eyes to what, and the movie and the TV series V.
Mm-hmm.
How the government was consorting with the aliens.
Yeah,
that really had me going too. You know what I mean? Before I found out we were on a flat plane.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then last but not least, Agape, if you'd like to give your kind of answer to that question.
Yeah, pretty much as a kid, I loved the thought of aliens and everything about space. You know, I was so deep into space and aliens. I loved Star Trek and all the space movies. And then as I got older, as a teenager, I would love hanging out with friends, and we would like smoke marijuana and watch Ancient Aliens. And that would be like our thing, is just like everything about aliens and the galactics and, you know, space, like pretty much like trying to remember all the, you know, the ridiculous, you know, numbers of 2 trillion miles. The next, you know, stars 2 trillion and this and that. I'd be like, whoa, I'm trying to memorize all the you know, the numbers of all of this galaxy and that galaxy, right? And I just like, me and my friends would just totally be like going crazy, right? We'd just be like, wow, like so intrigued. And then as I get older, and you know, I was deep into conspiracies. You know, learning more about aliens and alien abduction. I always thought that was pretty interesting. And then when I got the God pill in my life, I started reading the Bible and started getting spiritual and talking to other people. I realized that, you know, the deception of aliens and space all were intertwined.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a quote by this Satanist. His name is Aleister Crowley. He quoted. I remember watching like this video, and it was a quote. And he said, and he would summon spirits. He would say, and he actually drew a picture of a gray alien,
and he names them
right,
Lamb.
because he would
Lamb.
Yeah, and what he said was, this is his quote: "Today they call them angels and demons. Tomorrow they will call them something else." And this was in the 40s or 30s where he said that, and that like blew my mind. I'm like, wow, are are aliens actually demons? I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. And then talking to some of my Christian friends, we would they would affirm that aliens are demons and it's all spiritual, and this is all spiritual. It has nothing to do with another galaxy and all this stuff. And then as I learned more about flat Earth and biblical cosmology, it all made sense. I was like, yeah, I'm like, everything is spiritual, and these are probably, like you said, interdimensional. And my whole view of aliens changed, and I honestly I don't really research it anymore because I know the truth about it. So yeah, that's pretty much the origin of my belief of aliens.
Awesome.
I want a question.
Yeah.
The ones that were in New Age, do you remember Ramtha, the one who would channel this Chinese person through her, and she was talking to all the stars about their stuff? Hollywood, and her name was Ramtha.
No, but there's like thousands of them like that.
It was really big.
Dimes a dozen.
Many years ago.
Yeah, not that particular name, but there's thousands of them. Yeah, there's lots of people.
There was a disciple of Aleister Crowley. He was part of Area 51, and there is a theory. There's a thing going around that he opened up a portal in Area 51. That's why no one's allowed in there. Do you know the guy's name?
Yeah, the Babylon working, or was it the Amalantra working that they were doing that experiment that Area 51 opened shortly after. It's either one of those, one or the second one, Amalantra or Babylon working.
Yeah, it's what is that? JP? Is it J?
Yeah.
I can't remember the last part of that.
Jack Parsons.
Yeah.
Jack Parsons, Jet Propulsion.
Jet and Propulsion, yeah. So, yeah.
You mean Tony Stark's father?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Looks just like him.
Not to mention the Scientology dude and, L. Ron Hubbard and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All the other characters.
I'm gonna play that South Park clip a little later, and we can talk about that. It's pretty interesting.
You guys did an interview with L. Ron Hubbard's son, D. Wolf, came out on one of shows back in like the 70s and talked about how his father was actually a Satanist, and he was like part of it because he grew up in that particular Scientology cult, and he kind of reveals kind of behind the scenes of what it was all about. Very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much of that, right? We even have that, sprinkled throughout. We've talked about a cult, right? But we also have Protestants, kind of, dabbling in that. Of course, we have the Catholics with their Lucifer. Oh, please, Snoops, don't tell me I'm lying. Talking about that it's actually not called Lucifer when it totally is an acronym for Lucifer. And, I don't know if y'all ever saw that, but they literally were like, well, yeah, they would, if aliens came, well, they would probably, like, would we baptize them? And they're like, yeah, we would baptize them. Well, maybe not. Maybe they would baptize us. Maybe they would give us new revelation.
Right.
So, yeah, there's so many groups out of there. And, so let's, I want to turn this a little bit to the kind of the fearful side of it, because, I think, not just the fearful side, but it's interesting to me how, mostly at first when aliens were introduced as a concept, it was always as a war, scenario, a violent scenario in which these aliens would come and attack us and, in signs, for our water, and Independence Day for our, for our entire Earth. And it goes on and on and on. No.
Remember that movie Mars Attacks? That was, I never watched it, but like I've seen clips of it. That is terrifying. Those aliens and like the sound of them, and when they came to Earth and shot them with the lasers and turned into skeletons. Man, that's freaking brutal.
And then you have stuff
we come in peace.
like
we come in peace.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have things that are more on the maybe, you know, like parasitical things, right? Like
Alien, bro.
Alien, right?
War
Ridley
of the
Scott.
Worlds, Alien.
Body snatchers, right? Like you wouldn't.
Yeah, Body Snatchers
they
was
look
big when
like
I was
humans.
growing up.
They live.
Aliens,
They live,
Predator, and we have a lot of these examples of reasons to be fearful of them. But I've seen over time how they've also been slowly shifted to more of a positive or friendly role, where they're coming to help us or you know, solve an issue or just genuinely coexist with us. We, you know, and we even seen
They literally call our cell phones alien tech. You know what I mean? It's there's there's alien tech correlated with our cell phones. You know what I mean? Alienware, they think they call it.
That's a computer
That's a big
brand,
computer,
but,
yeah.
and so it's totally out there, and bringing up Roswell and Area 51, right? At the same time that they were kind of slowly shifting them from these evil invaders, they were also slowly shifting the we'll specifically talk about, you know, North America. They slowly shifted the idea of their even existence, right? Because you go back to, let's say, 1950s, you'll have a major percentage of America that don't believe in them. You jump up now to nowadays, you ask, you know, 100 people on the street, probably a close. I'm hearing echo, Frankie, on your side.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. If you asked 100 people today on the street now, you know, I very easily 100 of those people would say, yeah, aliens are here. Now we're right in our modern area, right? We have it where they're showing us supposed biological remains of aliens, shifting it even more from a possibility to a, you know, probability to a, we have evidence right here that it's real. And not only through the cake alien, but also through the footage that we've seen of these crafts, right? And in these congressional hearings, we say, oh, well, we know they're not any of the nation's equipment. You know, they're not our equipment. Again, if they were other nations' equipment, would they openly be saying, yeah, we got that tech that no one can explain? No, of course they wouldn't. And so that kind of gives them a good plausible deniability when it comes to it. But the reason why I really wanted to talk about that kind of transition of aliens from this danger to this, you know, kind of messiahs, right? People who are going to save us, is I think that that's actually intrinsically tied from them shifting the world from a spiritual mind to a quote unquote scientifical mind. Because when they did that, they were forced to erase things like the gods of old and the, you know, chimeras of old, the mixing of animals and humans, and animals, and they kind of had to fictionalize those things. Those things aren't possible. But as technology continues, now they're starting to you know, coincidentally make these similarities known. Like, oh wow, the Kabbalists, they've known for thousands of years about the atoms and about the planets and about creation, and they're doing the math, and oh, it's matching the Hindus and it's matching the Vishnas, you know, and all their writings. And so it's shifting back over to a more metaphysical view. And I can kind of even see that in aliens, while people describe them as interdimensional beings. Now, I think they're spiritual beings. What they actually,
I think they blew it though when they brought out those Mexican aliens. I think they blew it.
They might have. They could always backpedal on that and point their fingers at them like, hey, why would you do this? But I think even as a negative, even if it comes out, oh, those were fake, I think people will still buy into it because I'll give you an example. Roswell 51, right? Just the fact that they said a craft, oh wait, not a craft, a weather balloon, that got all the people to say, oh, what are they hiding? And if you actually look into the alien community, people who are really into that quote unquote conspiracy, you will see that they will use a lot of propaganda, a lot of the entertainment as proof that their theory is right. See, they're talking about aliens. See, this guy used to work for the government. He said he saw aliens and they're going to kill him. And these people have been killed and so on and so forth. So they almost force feed you a black pill in the alien conspiracies, making these beings gods, right? And that's the whole kind of point that I was trying to show is back in the day, people saw these gods and they knew they had metaphysical power, supernatural power, or at least technology to make you assume that case. Whereas today, a lot of people within the metaphysical, spiritual realms, like the New Age and cults, are transitioning their scientific minds with the heliocentric in mind into a more metaphysical, interdimensional. And I think, and just real quickly, I think that's the introduction of the multiverse theory, the Spider-Verse, the multiverse, the quantum realm, all of these other ideas about where worlds can be within worlds, but not just planets. And
like Doctor Strange,
Exactly.
Yeah.
from dimension to dimension.
Kabbalism.
Exactly. And so they're now introducing, they went from the scientifical theoretical model now down to the spiritual metaphysical model. And that transition, I think, is there and for a purpose because it made a lot of people forget about the old gods. And I think the point of that is they did that so that when these new gods are revealed, they are now revealed as aliens, as these metaphysical beings from distant stars and different constellations. So with that kind of being said, the next thing I want to get into is y'all.
Can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
Like Marsha brought up that, the Mexican aliens. Well, the whole term alien, if you come into this country illegally, you're an alien. They're making that term like, friendly or combative. They're bringing it out. It's subjectional programming. Hey, you're an alien. You're not supposed to be here. So they're just making the terms.
Muted.
You're muted, Marsha. Marsha, you're muted. You're muted.
Are they changing that from aliens to immigrants?
Well, there was immigrants, and they changed it from immigrants to aliens. Now they might have went back to immigrants. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
they're going back for the whole PC thing. But yeah, I definitely think that.
And then there was the whole X-Files thing, which was a cult movement with the alien community, And
at the end of X-Files, right, the whole point was them releasing that information to the public. And
right.
Take a quick tangent off this, that very similar to Edward Snowden, right? Gave us little bits of information and let our minds kind of fill in the rest. And that's definitely what they've been doing for sure.
Can I share my screen? I want to show you something right quick.
Yeah, just click
That'd
the
be
share
cool.
screen, and then I can click the thing to make it big for everyone.
All right.
Or y'all can click it to make it big for y'all, but I'll click it.
You got to show that cake that Robert sent you.
Okay, you guys see that?
Yep.
Do you know what this is? Has anyone ever seen this image before?
No, that's a really cool, interesting image, though.
I have.
I've seen it on Twitter. Yeah, I've seen that on Twitter.
Yeah, so this is, like I was saying before, there's kind of like this hidden world behind the scenes that not many people know about.
Mhm.
This is the hidden world, and all of these terms that you see here are basically terms within all different communities across the internet. We all know about the Q movement, right? The QAnons, the white hats, the black hats, and then you, of course, got terms like end human trafficking here, trust the plan. So this is essentially like a game plan that they have. So we have like escape the matrix, which we all are familiar with that term, right? And you have fake news media, false flags, 9/11, you know, big banks, all that stuff. And then basically it goes in as you're going further up the this iceberg here. You're getting into more like out there, more like niche communities. This is what I was part of. It's called QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And it's funny that I was able to just basically find this map after I kind of got out of the New Age and realized that this was actually just a game plan that the enemy is using, and it's showing right in front of our faces. Because if you search up any of these terms, like, say, for example, you know, you got Anunnaki. Right? You've ever heard of that before, right?
Yeah,
it's funny that they describe the Book of Enoch here. They actually have that, but you can tell that this is lies because they actually have right here, we're at Flat Earth Psyop, right? Yeah, but they mix it in with all of these truths, right? You got child trafficking, the Nexium, pedophilia, dark web, mass shootings, all of that. But we know that that's, you know, a false flag.
Yep.
But essentially, as you go further up, and like I said, yeah, I'll just finish this part. I was part of QHHT, which is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. I was part of the Light Workers, Starseed Children, that's what I was talking about earlier, and Indigos. And look right next to it, ADHD, right there, because they're targeting people with ADHD. That's what they're calling you. And then essentially they have these things. I've discovered this woman's book, Dolores Cannon, which is right here, Dolores Cannon. And then I read her book, The Waves of Volunteers. That's actually how I was convinced into quantum healing hypnosis technique, because they said people with ADHD are these special children, these volunteers that have come to Earth to help humanity grow. And so then you have like the dark side of the moon, where you have essentially, you can go on YouTube or any other, you know, website where it talks about how the moon is a base, a military base, or it's hollowed out, or the Nazi breakaway groups. And then you go over here to secret space programs. So these people, they believe there's these, you know, like CIA, ex-FBI, and they talk about how they are part of these space programs. One guy in particular, his name is Corey Good. He's friends with David Wilcock. They both do a show called Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia, and Gaia's actually here in this map as well. And anyway, they talk about, Corey Good in particular, he talks about how when he was young, he used to be a psychic, and he was kidnapped when he was young by the government and taken into space, into this suspended area where time stood still. So they would basically be able to train him and help him, you know, acquire his abilities as being psychic and be better at it. And then he would actually do that for like 10, 20 years, then go back into his body in the real or on Earth. And then essentially he would be the same age because it was just time suspended. So he called it this 20 and back program. And there's all of these like details that show, you know, in paperwork that even, you know, shows that that was in existence, but it's all fake. It's just so well crafted. The enemy is so intelligent in terms of, we're not dealing with something that is human. We're dealing with like higher intelligence above us. Because if you don't have Christ, this is going to trip you up hardcore. And then, like I said, eventually, you know, you get into this ancient artificial intelligence, which is essentially, that's the Borg, right? In Star Trek, that's actually what they kind of define it as, to get your subconscious to pick up on that idea that it exists, but it doesn't. But essentially, but in a sense it does, because artificial intelligence truly is, you know, unclean spirits, right? So, yeah, and this is what controls everything. And yeah, I would highly recommend anyone, if you like to really check in and, you know, or if you have any new age friends out there, get them to look at this thing, and really you can just show them that, you know, what you believe is just on a map, and it's not anything that you've come up with because you're a special boy. So anyway,
Indeed.
It has
fun to end there.
food on there.
Anybody remember the show Fringe? Because Fringe dealt with a lot of that stuff. Yeah, look up the
Oh
show
yeah,
Fringe.
friends like X-Files. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good show, and it delved into parallel universes, the time travel, all the children with the special powers, like you were saying. It touched on almost everything you brought up in there. You know what I mean? The hypnosis, the think tank, everything.
Yeah,
it was a really good show, though. I really liked it.
Can we say the P word?
What's that?
The name was Fringe.
No. Can we say the V word, vaccines? I think you did already, Kurt.
You just said.
But you won't
Why
get.
couldn't you?
We got to call it the Jabby Jab, or what is it? The
Jabby jab, is that on there?
the beer flu.
It probably is, but it doesn't. It could probably be under pharmaceuticals, right?
Vader Bear, can I show you guys another video? I don't know if it'll be copyright or not, but this is essentially, I used to be in a Jesus cult, and they showed me this particular, like they have a source YouTube channel called Source Directives, and anyway, it gives you a kind of picture in like a clip form of like all the weird things. I don't know. Would you be interested in checking it out?
Sure, we can try it.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah, well, we're not going to watch the whole thing or anything. I'm just going to skip through some stuff and gonna just give you a kind of a. So this is supposedly like pictures of angels. That's how. That's what I believed when I was in it anyway. If you guys see that, so these are videos of like weird stuff. So let's go through it, and I'll kind of speed it up a little bit here. But these two people here are like really part of, that new age, talking about how they're being channeled. These beings are channeling through these people here, and it's kind of going over these pictures and showing them. They're like, oh, okay, see, these are proof of these aliens, but we know that like truly they're not. And they got them in the pictures of the ancient
Anunnaki.
That's the guy actually that was that believed he was Jesus Christ. That's the cult that I was into. I don't want to get into that though. It's just the other stuff that he's. There we go. Yeah. So.
Wow.
And so it's.
Oh, I remember seeing those little alien skeletons before.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the ones that we saw like in the news. They definitely had them prior to that. But yeah, there's obviously some of these. You got don't know what to think of that. I think those are probably chimeras, I would assume.
I think they're real.
Yeah, a lot of that
I do
stuff
too.
could totally be
There's
real.
some fakes.
Yeah.
I almost think about it like magicians, right? So like an illusionist as an example. Like I always thought about, what if there were real sorcerers who were acting like illusionists, so they were actually performing dark magic in front of you, but because you thought it couldn't be real, it was an illusion, and so they kind of gain some power over you from that kind of idea.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Like these sky things that they're showing, like that, like orbs and like these things here. Yeah. I don't know. They're interesting to say the least, but we all know that obviously the ancient flying technology, it comes from ancient old technology that they still have.
Yeah, like that Brahmana stuff that Sean was showing in.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you just like I don't know what this stuff here, like if they're. Have you guys seen those videos on Facebook where it's like videos of like these ships and they look so like it looks like a movie, but it's it's weird. It's on your stories and everything, and it's stupid. Yeah. It looks really stupid.
So I think like they
over exaggeratedly stupid.
Yeah, and I think they can accomplish a lot of these things definitely now. Like a lot of people have talked about Blue Beam Project. I think it could be very easily drones flying in sky and kind of broadcasting this. But I also think like a lot of these, like the whole thing that happened in Canada where they create these, kind of
this looks
monolith. That looks like a jack from playing jacks.
Kind of like
right?
Like kind of like just think about like something like that you can make intricate like as a lantern, right? And then it's floating up against this weird item. So I think it could be a mixture of both. And I think some people like just like how videos on TikTok and YouTube are faked, situations are faked because they're funny or entertaining, right? There's an incentive to do that because you get money, right? And specifically, I think specifically because they hid the gods, and there's something inside of us that tells us this world is much more, for lack of a better term, magical, that people are looking for the magical in the world. And all, like you showed that map of all those things, all of those, that map is placed there to give a wide breadth to find many people that they can sink into one of those things.
Some of
Have
those.
you guys seen this video? This is interesting.
Let's see it.
It's very odd. Okay, it's a guy that kind of appears in the road.
Oh,
Could be CGI, obviously, and obviously the camera is terrible. But watch. So it's slowed down. I got it slowed down, but he'll appear now right in front of this car.
yeah.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if, because the cars do stop,
Yeah.
but this could be staged, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You,
But
when
it's-
you were going through the clip, Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Bill Schneider. Schneider, is that his name? The one who
Okay.
said he worked in a tunnel and he had
Right.
tunnel and everything.
Yes.
Didn't see the aliens, and he
Right,
was
right.
suicided.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Does anybody
yeah, I know.
remember the
Crazy.
Nazi Bell Project?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those were electromagnetic hovercrafts. I think that's what these
But anyway.
UFOs are.
Yeah.
And they're coming
Well,
out of the Antarctic. I think they're
Yeah.
manufacturing up in the because there's a theory that Admiral Byrd was attacked by a fleet of these hovercrafts coming out of the water, and he had to retreat. His whole military force had to retreat because they were a couple ships were just damaged really bad, and then after that they signed the treaty, and now no one's allowed up there, and I think that's where they're manufacturing all this crap.
Oh, no.
Totally
That
plausible
could be
that
Potentiality for sure.
and I don't know if you know totally, but they could also be in Alaska. Have you seen how big Alaska is? And they could hide.
Right.
And just let's just say Utah, right? Utah is like 72% owned by the government, the land, so they could have a base. You know, 5
Yeah,
miles
there's
under
a
the
couple
ground.
spots in the U.S. where we're not allowed to go. I mean,
Yeah, there's
there-
a lot of
it-
places we're not allowed to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
and then Colorado has the tunnel system.
Mm-hmm.
You,
The
you
Man
know all the
from Uncle,
Mars,
you remember the
Mars
Man from
rover.
Uncle, right? Marsha, with
What?
James Colburn. The Man from Uncle in Vegas, they had underground tunnels where that's where his base was. It was a show. It came out in the '60s. It
Oh,
was
I
James
know.
Colburn, Man from Uncle.
There's probably
all
subterranean
the-
systems everywhere.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I'm
do.
yeah.
sure they
All
gotta
over.
go from coast to coast.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is
All
super
the,
random, but I remember when I went and seen what is it, the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I wasn't Christian at the time, and I remember the moment. And sorry if there's any spoilers for anyone that hasn't watched it yet, but it's garbage anyway. Worst Star Wars movie of all time. But basically, there's a scene where there's like 3 planets that are destroyed simultaneously, and it shows like a quick, image of the people on the planets that were of different species. And there were actually a lot of people, I was one included, that through the film and that scene, I was like actually affected like emotionally and started breaking down into tears because I was convinced that Star Wars, and that's what you're told in the New Age, that Star Wars was actually legitimately something that happened before all of it. Yeah, at the very beginning when it says a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was like, this happened a long time ago because that's your belief in heliocentrism, right? Like all of that's on the table. So, it was cray.
Yeah.
Insane.
Awesome. So yeah, and kind of going back to the, the shift from the bad alien to the good alien, from the no gods, from the gods to the no gods, and kind of the blending of the two, right? Earlier, Agape mentioned, what was that? Ancient aliens, right? And all throughout there, they take all these different accounts across the world from their different civilizations, and kind of use that as a stepping stone to show people that, all these aliens, right? There's a connection here. They've been visiting us forever. And that they're going to come back, and also over to when we were talking about the craft, right? And, I always thought that was interesting because anything that could travel the distances that would be required for aliens to show up at our house, I'm like, well, they're not going to be nice. You're not going to travel that far or have that type of technology and come and be nice. And then last little bit before we move on to kind of the next part of the conversation is the addition of quote unquote climate change or global warming, right? I feel like this is obviously a great defensive measure for what we see in scripture, some of the trumpet, happenings of the trumpets, and what that's going to cause on the earth, as kind of a preamble thing getting ready for. But then you add in the aliens, and I feel like real quick, you add in nukes, right? And that we could nuke ourselves. There's how many movies about aliens coming and helping us, not nuke each other and not destroy the world. And so,
can I say
a
something? Like
lot.
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, when I was in the New Age, it's a really big umbrella term, but I guess I was part of the Galactic Federation, shall we say? And I would get these emails every newsletter, essentially every day, and they would talk about updating exactly of the attack of what Ashtar Command, which were the good guys against the Draconian Empire up there, in which fleets were being destroyed in space and all this. Anyway, retarded stuff, but essentially they were talking about how the ongoing fight that they were having up there was basically lost my train of thought. I'll get back to it.
No,
So many things. Anyway, move on.
I was talking about I was talking about the connections of global warming and nukes and how they were going to save us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So part of the transmissions, sometimes they would basically say that the military would confirm this in their own, when the black hats would basically talk behind the scenes and the white hats in this Q movement thing. Mm-hmm. And these, debriefs basically saying that aliens would be dismantling the nukes as they were essentially trying to attack each other, and the aliens were the ones that prevented nukes from ever taking place, because the military were actually reporting that over bases, when they had those nukes available, the UFOs would basically come over and dismantle them with EMPs and all this. And it's just like, it's hilarious that all those things are the way they got it jacked up. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then so with that kind of set in place, we move now into our modern era where we're seeing like the Marvel movies, the Avengers, the space, even the Avengers, right, was very on Earth, right? But then slowly progressed to start adding in these outworld figures, right? It kind of even started with Thor, but this was like, even their depiction of Asgard, right, was like kind of like a flat Earth example.
Right.
Obviously a lying type of flat Earth, right, where you actually got water pouring over the edge. But then with these beings that are saving us from these alien invasions, right, that are saving us from these alien attacks. And so
Eternals, that's a good one.
Yep, Eternals.
Well, it's not a good movie, but it shows kind of the plan there.
Yeah. You got the orb that comes down, and so there's so much there. And so for me, I'm going to take a little break. I know I've been ranting a little bit, but I have always been drawn, like I was drawn as a child, to aliens, like I was drawn to space. I've also always been drawn to Revelation 9. And I know, guys, I've talked about this a million times, but the locusts to me are such a big connection for me. And the descriptions of the locusts and the descriptions of what they look like and the sound of their wings and that whole event, and especially, the star falling from the heaven to the earth and hitting the ground, right? What would that cause? It would cause this big smoke plume. But in Revelation, when it's talking about this, out of the smoke, right, which isn't actually smoke, it's a whole bunch of these locusts coming to the earth. And so it's just so interesting because, like, as I was kind of showing, is like they got our idea about the first time we're going to kind of interact with aliens, that's going to be this violent one. And I don't know if y'all have also noticed this, especially those that have watched like Stargate and Star Trek, how they almost make the aliens seem misunderstood. And what I mean by that is, or let's say the racism, the speciesism of the humankind, right? Because we have movies like what is that? Not Department, Area. It's with the guy and they call them prawns and they kind of look like shrimps and bugs and they all put them District 19, District 9.
District
11.
9.
District 11, right?
11.
Where you
I
have
was so
this,
sure.
where
Well,
you
it's
almost
just-
have this racism, this speciesism towards them, where they're like, kill the aliens. We don't want these aliens here. We even get to see it in Batman versus Superman, right? Where you have half of the population that are like, get Superman out of here. He's the evil one. And then you mix that with a lot of movies with religious cults. While at the same time we have aliens, we have these Christian cults that are always kind of standing up against it. And if it's not
It was District 9.
yeah. and with like another movie, Surrogates, I know it has nothing to do with aliens specifically, but you in that movie you have this religious group that is against having surrogates. And games like Deus Ex Machina, you have whole groups of people that are against augmentation. And so with the mix of, like I believe that the locust will be that first alien invasion. And so a lot of the times, as believers, we come up to these topics that we would kind of label, how we would label are these salvation issues. Now, I briefly want to talk about that because if I think about in the past, right, let's say our grandparents that have passed away, our families that have passed away, and our ancestors, in reality, right, guys, we know that the whole heliocentric model as a mainstream topic has only really been accepted for about 120 years. You go look out any time before that, the main belief is that we lived in a created environment. But specifically, I think that it can be a salvation issue to the people that are non-believers when these events come, because they have been pre-programmed so much with the idea of aliens, with the conception of aliens, with the movies and the games and the books and the TV shows and all that's out there, including the entertainment that we see on mainstream media, where they are constantly be fed these fake stories, these generated stories, but with that compounding investment that they've put into that entertainment, into that propaganda and programming, you can see that people are almost ready for it. People are and I've seen in some groups of people that they're actually waiting for the aliens to come to change our world. They believe that once the aliens actually reveal themselves, they've been here, but once they reveal themselves, and you kind of were talking about this before, Curtis, is that we will enter this new golden age. We will actually enter a utopia, which that word is stupid anyways, but we'll enter this new golden age of technology and prosperity and art and beauty and all of these things.
Return of the Gods.
Yes. Star Trek was pre-programming for that deception, where essentially you have replicators and these healing med beds that they talk about. They were talking about that in the New Age deception too, of like one day when the aliens' first contact happens, they're going to reveal their technology to us, and then basically we'll implement that into our lives, and that will essentially help us elevate into higher consciousness to, basically become one with them.
Yeah.
So we're pre-age.
Yeah,
and that's all intertwined with transhumanism and AI and all that stuff. I remember listening one time to Werner von Braun's former secretary before he passed away.
Yeah,
he told her, "Listen," he goes, "the last big agenda. The last big event's gonna happen is the aliens, the fake alien invasion. He kept on telling her before on his sickbed, listen, this is exactly what's gonna happen. And like as we know, like I said before, Werner von Braun on his tombstone has Psalms 19:1. So he knew the lie and the deception. He was part of it, right? And I guess on his deathbed, he knew that he had to spill the beans and tell the world, right? It's like he had his conscience was telling him. But yeah, all this is all a Luciferian false light. This is all a false light agenda to bring in the the false light ploy to deceive the world. And those who endure to the end, those who are deceived will fall for it, and those who are not will not fall for it. And we just have to stay focused on the kingdom and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Absolutely.
Not going to be aliens. What if this generation is getting all caught up in that, and it's not going to be aliens that save us? It'll be something way different. I don't know. It just seems like
asteroid.
Well, I get the whole aliens thing. Real quick, Kyle, sorry to interrupt you. I think that, like I was saying, I don't remember the literary term, but to express the term, it's basically like if you're writing a book and they go into a cabin and the author takes the time to mention the gun that is above the fireplace, it would be bad writing to have never that gun to come into the story. So I personally, like I'll give you an example with the beer bug and what we went through. Did we not have movie after movie after movie after TV and TV show about a pandemic, about a virus outbreak, and how that would affect not only, the United States and the country, so
has anyone ever seen Contagion? Like that came out a couple of years before that happened. That's literally the same thing.
And so for them to spend all of this money, for them to put in all this effort to get people's minds, even to the effort where they're putting an alien cake, right, supposedly on view to be seen by people. They're not doing it for a reason. Now, is it going to happen within our generation? I'm not sure. Only the Father knows the day or the hour, or we don't know when all this stuff is going to pop out. But I don't think that they put all this effort into the alien concept, and then piggyback that with, as Kyle was bringing, Aetherial Creations was bringing up, how they got rid of the gods, but now it's the return of the gods. They're just given a different name, like Agape brought up with Aleister Crowley in that quote, where he is specifically saying right now they call them aliens and angels, but eventually they'll call them something else. So, the propaganda with Lamb and him talking about this interdimensional being, but giving it a picture of a typical gray alien. I think all of these things together, I don't think that they're not going to use that card. Now, how do they use that card? I guess that's the next question. I don't think that they're going to play that card. I think the card, me personally, is Revelation 9. I think they're gonna say an asteroid is coming. That asteroid's gonna slow down. We've seen that line or heard that line in so many movies. We know they're aliens because that thing that's coming towards the planet is slowing down. And then it's gonna hit. It's gonna have this smoke, and these aliens are gonna come down and start striking people. And so that's I could totally be wrong. I always like to say I'm jealous. I'm jealous of my right to be wrong, but that's just how I see it unfolding. What
if it be like giants, like in the days of Noah, and chimeras?
Well, I think it could be those with aliens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in my viewpoint, I think they likely will appear as they appeared thousands and thousands of years ago to people throughout history as possibly these somewhat taller, larger, it kind of Nephilim, handsome god-looking
Yeah,
entities.
if you've seen Gods of Egypt, right? I don't know if you've seen that movie, but they're much bigger than men. When they bleed gold, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think the aliens that are coming that are good, and that's why I kind of brought up Independence Day, right? Because my beliefs and kind of going with Agape was saying about transhumanism, I think the leaps and bounds of technology, like Independence Day to Independence Day Resurgence, is that's how it's going to kind of press the envelope and kind of be able to go beyond, right? Because another theme in Marvel movies, right, is if we didn't have Iron Man, if we didn't have Spider-Man, if we didn't have Hulk, if we didn't have these quote unquote superheroes, the aliens would have destroyed this world. And so I could very easily see Revelation 9, the locust alien attack. We then use those, and I believe those beings are actually biomechanical vassals for unclean spirits. I think they're going to use that technology to then actually go up another level on their technology. Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, so I personally think just from being in the New Age, it seems like what they're going to do is essentially they're going to reveal the aliens. Like I do believe that with Project Bluebeam, with also that actual ancient technology of these UFOs and how they move around and all this, they're going to reveal them to the public. They're going to land. And they're unclean spirits, which we know are actually, in this world. So they're going to reveal themselves to humans and show, say that they've come from another planet. But basically, the whole idea of if you believe in the heliocentric model, it is logical to assume that something from outside of Earth is going to be more connected to source than we are. And so with that realization or, that thinking, basically it's the idea that they're essentially going to help us get closer to source. So they're going to say, hey, look, I know you guys are committing war and all this, but now we can have peace because we're here to teach you our ways. And I think that because, of course, we know that every person, in the scriptures, it says that every person has to actually make that choice and then follow the beast. So we're not at that point yet. There's no way that these beings, the majority of people, these beings, if they reveal themselves now, that most people will be on board. I don't think so. But what will have to happen is if they just come out of nowhere, they'll have to know us. They'll have to actually, be here, and actually we have to trust them. Like you don't just invite someone into your home and then someone you barely know, and then you automatically trust them with your kids or whatever. No, they're going to land here. They're going to get comfortable with us. It's going to be over decades. I think Trump is going to bring this in because he's, throwing in with the Space Force and all that. So that's basically a precursor to this. I think he's going to win the election. I think that whole thing with Biden and everything was basically a setup to basically destroy the economy. Everyone hates Biden. He can't speak at all in his speeches at all. He's he's a child. Or he's going getting too old and about to pass out and die. So essentially, he's going to lose this election to Trump. Trump's going to come in. Everything's going to be amazing. Then he's going to reveal the Galactic Federation and how he's working for Q and because the Q, by the way, in the Q movement, they believe what Q is essentially the military that have access to what's called Operation Looking Glass, which is essentially a time machine. What's that?
Isn't it White Hats? The Q
No. Operation. Yeah, they're the White Hats. Yeah, but I was talking about Operation Looking Glass. It's essentially a time machine, they say, that they can look into the future. And so these Q drops are basically people that are looking into the future and showing essentially where humanity is going to be. And so, and Q and Trump has actually made. He's joking around with this. He's part of the deception because in his speeches, there's times where he does the Q letter thing, because he's part of it. And that's there's why so many people are part of it too, and thinking that he's like the savior. And you have that book. I don't know if you guys know, there's a book that basically talks about Trump this kid Trump that saves the world. It's pre-programming.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pre-programming for this event,
Yeah.
and so I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be
He
they're going to reveal
definitely
themselves.
controlled opposition psyop.
Definitely.
What was I gonna say? They're using him because he has such a big following, and he's gonna use that following to push the agenda when they come. Because like the only way to get the whole world to come together and accept a one world system is to have the alien invasion, right?
Mhm.
And
Well,
that's the only way. That's the only way people will follow it.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
agree. That's why I don't think, not to contradict you, Curtis, but that's why I don't think
No,
it's gonna be
That's
them.
fine, bro.
No, yeah, I'm just saying. I don't think it's gonna be started off with them coming down and making friends. What Agape was saying is, and that's why I was using Revelation 9, the locust and the attack, is if then after that event, right? Because they're only here for 5 months. So I almost see it as if they started out with the attack, then those beings that you're talking about come down and actually help us fight that enemy, destroy that enemy, and then start helping us rebuild and repair. That's how they'll gain our trust, as to just opposed to be like, hey, we've been here for a long time. We're the gods that people said.
Yeah.
And even though we've seemingly haven't been here, we've been here the whole time. I feel like a lot of people would push that back comparatively to if someone like Agape was saying, we were attacked and then helped subsequently from that attack, how quickly people would then trust them.
1,000%.
Could be it too. It could be it too.
And they might even do
I think it's
miracle.
going to be. I think it's going to be more like V, that TV show V, how they just reveal themselves as being behind the whole government, and that they're coming with a better way. They're going to introduce new technology, like he was saying, healing, and they're going to do a whole reset and do their the whole, everything will be digital. These supercomputers will have access to everything. And it's just going to be a controlled society.
I personally think that they need to start it with some type of catastrophic event where at first everybody needs to be weak and susceptible to their indoctrination before they start implementing it. So if they created a situation in the world where everything seemed like the world was on fire and they came as these saviors, gave us technology beyond our years and fought wars for us and gave us weapons, I mean, it wouldn't be hard for them to earn that position of trust. And they can create the whole illusion from the beginning to the end, project, just start the collapse and then already have the solution for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we live in fear?
I'm with Kirk on that. A few decades from now, they got to condition us, and they got to get rid of people like us, especially the boomers. Got to get.
Well, and we've kind of seen, right, with the Agenda 2021, they missed that mark, right? So they had to extend it to 2030. So yeah, they could totally keep pushing this, moving the goalpost down and programming along the way. And of course, it can come all the ways we've said and a million more, right? But I think it's interesting to talk about because I saw someone mention earlier, right, that when the evil one's here, right, that he's going to be able to cause a great lying signs and wonders, even be able to have fire come down from the sky. So it's definitely, and it's called the Great Deception for a reason. Kyle, you were saying earlier, should we live in fear? And no, I don't think we should, because I think I think Scripture sums it up the best. Why fear those who can take the body and not him who can take the body and the soul? And I jokingly say this, what's the worst they can do? Torture us to death, right? Like, that's literally the worst that they can do.
That's really bad. I don't want to be tortured.
Well, I know, but comparatively juxtaposed to an eternal life with a body that can never be destroyed or corrupted.
But I'd rather
I get it. I'm not saying I
guillotine.
want it, right?
I just hope it's going to be the guillotine because apparently that's the
like
thing.
Paul.
You sound very persuading,
that'll be
Vader.
awesome.
Yeah,
Like Apostle Paul.
yeah. Do you mind if I share another thing? There's some things on it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, this is trying to get you guys to see kind of like behind the scenes of this weird thing. So essentially, this is Ashtar Command. There's a lot of different Ashtar Command websites, but they have like different messages from these beings. And like I said, I think I clarified. Ashtar Command is this essentially, military force, supposedly in space that is essentially working together for our benefit to free us from these reptilian beings. So essentially, the Ashtar Command is the airborne division of the Great Brotherhood Sisterhood of Light under the administrative direction of Commander Ashtar and the spiritual guidance of Lord Sananda, our Commander-in-Chief, known to Earth as Jesus Christ. Composed of millions of starships and personnel from many civilizations, we are here to assist Earth and humanity through the certain cycle of planetary cleansing and polar realignment. We serve like midwives in the birthing of humanity from dense physical to physical etheric bodies of light capable of ascending into the fifth dimension along with the Earth. We of the Brotherhood of Light and we who serve the intergalactic fleets and cosmic federation councils come forth to bring you knowledge for a most eventful and confusing transition. I'll just read this part here and then we'll end. The Ashtar Command is an etheric group of extraterrestrials, angels, and light beings and millions of starships working as coordinators of the activities of the space fleet over the Western Hemisphere. Under the spiritual guidance of Sananda, the most radiant one, the ascended master who walked the earth incarnated as Jesus Christ, Ashtar, the commander of the galactic fleet and representatives for the Universal Council of the Federation of Planets, is currently engaged in Earth's ascension process. There are 144,000 light workers called Eagles connected to the command. That is the minimum of souls required for the ascension process. These Eagles are a group of souls who don't identify with a special planet. They know they are one with all and they are Christ. Fundamental to any discussion of New Age Christology is the recognition that New Agers distinguish between Jesus, a mere human vessel, and the Christ consciousness, variously defined, but always defined and often a cosmic impersonal entity. They serve like cosmic midwives in the ascension process, the birthing of humanity from dense physical into physical etheric bodies of light capable of ascending with the earth into the physical and the fifth dimension. Lightworker is incorporating Jesus' message of love and light into our daily lives, ultimately connecting with our higher self. Yeah. Stupidness.
Do you know what that reminds me of, right? It literally reminds me of when he says, many false prophets and many false Christs shall arise.
You got that right.
And sure, we have tons of different Christs in... Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. So for the closing up the show, I have a handful of videos that I'm going to go through that were shared, and we can talk about them a little bit. I'm just pulling that up right now from everyone that sent it, so just bear with me while I get the rest of it.
I was deleted, Frankie.
Oh, well, let's talk about that real quick, Marcia. You brought up the
Oh, I don't. It was really a dumb one anyway, so I'm glad it was deleted.
Well, it was. What was it about?
I don't remember.
No, it was the whatever ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. No, I don't think it was the Skinwalker, but it was about a place where they had entities in it, and they were selling it for super cheap because I don't remember, something like that.
Well,
it wasn't Skinwalker.
Well, what's something interesting about that is I've been watching a lot of Native American, like modern stuff, looking at reservations and stuff. And if you look at a lot of these Native Americans, they'll tell you that they're seeing strange orbs and lights and all types of things. And very interesting indeed. All right, let's look at it. Oh, see if that will load. The first three things you sent me are not loading, Frankie. Let me try again. It may because I don't have a Twitter.
No.
Seriously?
It's on Twitter. That's harder.
And you deleted me, Frankie. At least I had something that would show.
None of the
You get my Twitter post from the text stream, right?
what?
You can get them on your phone. You can't get them on your computer.
Like you're talking about the links that you sent?
Yeah, that I send you in the text.
Oh,
stream.
that one looked like it was about to work.
Well, then you got to use an
I got one.
uplifting but funny one of Robert's. I still thought those were so funny. His
Yes.
two, they weren't videos; they were pictures.
Well, I got one video and one article.
Oh, one video.
One video, one article.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I was talking about the alien cake person.
Yeah. That's what I got.
Oh, okay.
That's a video.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, it was. Okay.
What?
That's all I remember. He showed it to me this morning.
Well, I'm glad Craig was here. Craig, right?
No,
Kurt.
Curtis.
Glad Kurt was here because he showed a lot of
what's up,
videos. That was good, yeah. And you
Yeah,
brought a
thanks,
lot of
bro.
content to the show too, Kurt.
Yeah, I appreciate
Sorry,
that.
I'm bad with names. I'll
Oh,
get
that's
your name.
fine. Yeah, no, Curtis.
There's
There's
Kurt, there's
Robert.
Kyle's, there's all kinds.
Yeah. No worries.
Robert's background now.
Oh yeah. There it is.
Things.
Okay, yeah. For whatever reason, most of the Twitter ones won't work, but one did pull up. I'm gonna show these. Hopefully, I don't get
YouTube
copyrighted.
short on there. Oh,
I don't have a Twitter
The
account.
I think
YouTube
there's a YouTube short.
The short
should
worked
show.
as well. It's loading. Okay, let me pull this up. It's this one. Is it already playing? It sure is. Let's go back here.
Yeah,
It's definitely gotten me thinking. I'm
Launch
probably gonna
these-
make a video on the New Age and kind of share some more of that stuff on my channel.
Can y'all hear that?
Interesting chart. I must say that was a very
Play it.
interesting.
Yeah, it's super
I heard
fried.
something.
Yes.
Super
No.
fried.
It's lagging right now.
Buffering.
It was just working,
Come
I
on.
swear.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was.
Mm.
Hit the pause again.
If you share them with us, maybe we could see them.
It is on the screen. You should be able to
It's
pop it
going.
up.
But it's not playing. Is it? Okay, now. Oh, it's buffering.
It's
Oh.
so ridiculous.
It looks like a weird
So what-
mushroom.
All right, let's go
That
back
looks
to
like
that.
the Challenger.
Oh, I
you're on
know.
X. That's cool.
Woodward TV. That's it. Stardust Ranch. That's it.
Okay, well, let's see if this. None of the. Apparently, they're like, no, you can't play stuff. We'll go back
There's
to
the,
that one.
There's Robert's thing.
Alien revealed cake. What is that, like Mary and the toast?
Well,
That was,
you've seen all the people who create hyper realistic items, and then they cut it. Cake or not cake.
No.
Yeah.
You haven't ever seen that? People will make like
Uh,
books or like a can of Coke,
my
and then
God.
they can cut it open. It totally
Yeah.
looks like a can of Coke, but it's not.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
This is very interesting that this will not load.
But it's too
Well, I see your browser is trying to load up all the other.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that. It's not that intense. There's like a couple.
Hey, you didn't delete me after all there. But it's not
That was
loading. I don't
It's definitely laggy.
So everybody's like posting that friggin' alien that they found in Mexico or whatever on everything else. Like, was a pinata or something.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Paper mache.
Vader, send me the
That's
links.
good. That's good.
They claim to have X-rayed it. It's like,
Oh.
come
Oh,
on.
you're
The
kidding.
doctors are sitting there like holding it and swinging it around with their hands like it's a toy. It's like it's supposed to be like an alien life form found, perfectly
well, isn't
preserved.
the-
And you guys are just swinging it around.
I gotta watch
It's-
that. I watched the
Female
U.S.
supposed to have
Congress one.
eggs in it. The
That's
female
hilarious.
one was supposed to have eggs in it. Or something. Oh,
Nice.
whatever.
Say how you tell a female from a male in those.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to go what's the female one? This should have both of them.
Let's see if this works before I send this one to you.
Oh, bummer.
All right, there we go.
7 crew members lost their lives. This is Judy Resnick, an engineer and pilot aboard the Challenger mission. In 2013, an eagle-eyed internet user found Judith Resnick, a law professor at Harvard Law School. Some people were a little taken aback by the identical name, age, and likeness, so they started digging. This is Michael J. Smith, also an engineer and pilot aboard the Challenger shuttle. He passed away that fateful day in 1986 at the age of 39 years old. This is Dr. Michael J. Smith, professor of engineering at the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was on level with me, right?
This is Sharon Chris.
Nice.
But that's been out for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Challenger thing is interesting. Did you get those links? Did they work for it?
Yeah, they worked for me.
As a, what is
Hello.
If you
Yeah, that
wanna
was
show your screen.
Conspiracy. That was on the shuttlecraft conspiracy. How all those people were supposed to die, but then they ended up, they're still alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They do that time and time again. Just like Sandy Hook and all those people.
All right, let's watch
Has
this.
to do with space and aliens.
Kyle is sharing this for us.
Sure.
This is another part that you sent about the Stardust Ranch.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
Frankie B sent. All right, press play, brother. Is it giving us no sound, or is there no sound?
I don't know. I think he talks through it all. It's Woodward TV.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
I'm not hearing anything either.
It might be from the way that you're pushing the video to us. I'm not sure.
Google Chrome with the tabs. Sometimes you gotta activate the audio separately. I have that trouble with StreamYard.
Yeah. It would be in the actual thing. No
Oh
worries.
yeah. He said he slayed a bunch of aliens. He said he has slayed, because I just read it in the subtitle of that. I remember him saying that he killed about, I don't know, 17, 17.
Wow. And I wonder how let's say they were already at the state where they're making, human animal hybrids or whatever form of chimeras, how they could trick people into saying, hey, not tell them, hey, we made these things, but hey, these things are from other planets, and how they could easily be, kind of tricked into believing that aliens exist. Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe that guy actually saw things. He actually killed things that he thought were aliens, right?
Well, he's tired of killing him, trying to sell his place.
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. All right, let's finish with some lightness with this article from the Babylon Bee, and then we will wrap it up on that same line. So let me pull that up. All right, pull that up for everyone else. Authenticity of Mexican alien question after kid hits it and candy falls out. Despite making headlines with the presentation before Mexican lawmakers, the authenticity of the purported aliens was called into question after a young child struck one of them with a wooden stick, resulting in candy spilling out. "Ay caramba!" exclaimed Mexican Congressman Juan Valdez. "The most significant scientific and astronomical find in history has been damaged. But look, we can clearly see these creatures come from a world where they have candy for intestines." As the child and several lawmakers scrambled to gather up pieces of candy, researchers quickly offered up an explanation for the incident. "Ah, yes, we thought that may be the case," stammered lead scientist Tito Santana. We suspected these beings may have had bodies that were constructed from paper mache and contained various types of candy. This is in no way an indictment of our credibility or authenticity of the creature's remains. Even the most willing believers in existence of aliens were left with questions. This is a tough one to swallow even for me, said UFO truther Ryan Felix. Are we really supposed to believe that they have this type of candy on some distant planet? I get the names are Milky Way and Starburst, but come on. At publishing time, Mexican officials have refused to offer any comment or reports that someone had found a shop in Tijuana that sells plaster sculptures of aliens exactly like the one shown in the congressional presentation. So,
oh my God.
So to wrap this up, guys, though to a lot of people it is a real thing. It is something that we should mock. It is something that we should talk about. But mostly it's something that we should not have fear over, guys. Again, I stated, and I kind of, took it to the extreme where I said, oh, I need to get rid of this. Where I said, of all that they could do is torture us to death. But what my point on that is, guys, is we shouldn't have fear for these things because I saw Wendy mention before, right? Many people's hearts are going to wax cold for fear of the things coming upon this earth. So that's why we have this community. That's why we talk about these things that on the outside to the secular world are these huge truth topics, these huge things that we need to pay attention, and these conspiracies that we need to be a part of. But the real conspiracies are in the scripture, and the real conspiracy is the hiding of the truth of our earth and of creation. And so even though we will continue to talk about these topics, which could potentially be black pill topics for some, or were black pill topics for some, we'll actually, get it to where they're white pills, right? Where we're actually seeing in between the lines, we're seeing past the programming, and we're coming closer to the Father and our Messiah through our dedication to Scripture and truth. So, all right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the first episode of the season of episode 1. And next week we will have on Morgan from Wildly Unpopular. And we will be getting into dreams and demons, or demons and dreams, and both the positive sides of dreams and the negative side of dreams, and how the unclean spirits interact with us. Super excited for that. The next following week is going to be talking about some more interesting topics. So you'll see that next week when I put it out. I don't want to. I almost revealed it before I wanted it to. So check out next week. You'll see that posted. We'll always have a week beforehand, so you'll know what's coming. But yeah, let's wrap it up, guys, and we'll get over to the after show. If you don't know, my wife just mentioned, link in the description below is our Discord. We have a conversation after the show goes off where we can use a lot of terms that we can't use on YouTube. So if you want to continue the conversation, join us over there, and I'd love to see you. And yeah, let's wrap it up, guys. So we'll go over to you, Maggie. Again, happy fellow birthday. And thank you, sister. If you'd like to say your goodbyes.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me on, Vader.
Oh, my pleasure.
See ya.
Sweet. And we'll jump over to Marsha.
Bye, everyone. This was it was a fun show.
Definitely. And Robert, kind sir?
Yep. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great night. I'll see you in the after show. Live long and prosper.
Sweet. And thank you for joining us for your first round table there, Curtis. Loved your show. If y'all haven't, again, check out Subjectively Offensive on YouTube. He has a lot of content on there, some stuff he mishmashed together to kind of show some points and show some ideas, concepts. But without staying there too long, Curtis, I'll let you say your goodbyes.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. Definitely be back for sure. It's just great, with other truth seekers, just seeking after truth and digging into topics that most people don't want to dig into for fear of looking different and strange. And I'll definitely be back for sure. Just want to say that you're more than welcome to come over to the channel, check things out. I only want subscribers that are interested in the content. I don't want any subs that are. I just remember, like, just the long story short, very stupid, but 2018 when I first started up YouTube, I had one guy randomly message me and was like, "Hey, do you want to do subs for subs for watch or whatever?" And I'm like, "What is this?" And it's like, essentially you get a sub for somebody that subs you back.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the people that are subbing, and they got crap channels that are just full of shite. And I'm just like, I don't want to be that kind of guy. I want to have quality content on my channel. So yeah. Anyway, it was great being on here for sure. I'll be back.
It was great to have you, brother. And dear brother Kyle, always dropping gravy with us in the mix. If you'd like to say your goodbyes, sir.
Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone. It's a blessing to be here. Just remember, when you start reading the word and understanding it, you can start dismantling the lies of the world, such as aliens.
Amen.
And to that.
Sweet.
Amen.
We'll jump over to Frankie B.
Yeah, great show, everybody. Really good content. Everybody brought good stuff to the table. Kurt, really nice meeting you.
You too, bro.
I hope you do come back. I hope you come back. You brought a lot of content to the show.
Thanks, bro.
You fit in perfectly with the community. We all have, strange outlooks, being flat earthers and truthers, and everything's pretty much unfiltered on this in this community. We all have different viewpoints, and we accept each other's viewpoints, for where they are. So, with that said, continue to dig deep. It was brought up a few times. A couple people said the word "dig deep." That's the name of our song that we play after the show. So continue to dig deep, because the truth is out there. If you don't dig for it, you won't find it. So, and there's a lot of information that we're putting out this season. Season 2 is packed full of nuggets, baby. Big, fat, juicy nuggets. So dig them up. Dig deep and get them nuggets. Cash them in.
Yep, and it's real meat, not lab grown
GMO meat. We ain't no Bill Gates meat here, baby. We're serving up beef, baby. So Shabbat shalom, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And that's it.
Perfect.
Dig deep.
All right, Kyle Kaleem's brother. Thank you for joining. I know you're still a little on the nervous side. It's okay, bro. I'm calling you out just to embarrass you right now, so everyone laugh at Kyle. I'm just joking, but love having you here, man. I hope you join more, and of course, you're like my son, right? He always calls me dad. So I love that you showed up, man. It's awesome. It shows me your heart. So thanks for being here, brother. If you'd like to say goodbye to the peeps.
Yeah, goodbye everyone, and happy birthday, Maggie and Zach. Representing that September birthday. But yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, and appreciate everyone else gathering and listening, and actually being attentive and everything like that. And yeah, it's been a good night.
Yeah, chat was on fire, dude. They're all up in the convo.
Great meeting you, my brother.
Yeah.
Sweet. And then we got our brother Agape. If you'd like to say your goodbyes, brother, thanks for bringing your mind to the table. Oh, maybe he's stepped away.
Fell asleep.
Yeah.
Might have fell asleep. All right. Well, sorry if I'm skipping you, Agape. If you jump in before it's over, then feel free to say goodbyes. Yeah, okay, guys, it was awesome. Join us next week again for Morgan from Morgan with Morgan from Wildly Unpopular. We're going to be talking about demons and dreams. I hope you're excited for that one as we are. And until next time, remember that ABBA love you first. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Good night.
Remember the true triggers.
True triggers.
It's your glory, conceal the mystery. You give us the honor to search a matter. You raise up a standard to beat back our enemy. You establish this realm, and like a scroll you spread it out. Dig deep, search it out. Dig deep, seek it out. Dig deep, go on and walk it out. Dig deep, I give you oil to fill up your cup. I give you enough to fill up your lamps. Yeah, you keep them trimmed, you keep them neat, you keep on worshiping